Just quickly, I wanted to talk about what you mentioned about talking about finances is taboo, because it was the other day I was on a call with somebody, and we actually got onto that subject, and we both agreed it's actually in the Western world would be nearly more okay to cuss somebody out in public than start talking about finances. People will be like, "Well, ooh, what's happening?" Over here with Europeans cussing a lot, like hearing somebody cuss somebody out, you'd be like, "All right." But talking about finance, oh no, what's going on? Like that'd be scary. Do you know what a good loan is? If you don't know the answer to that question, you should definitely listen up to that podcast. And if it's because you haven't taken a loan yet, then you should definitely listen in so you don't end up getting screwed. Since today I have Diane and Koreen with me to go over the topics about debt, money management. It can be very confusing in the start, but first of all, to take us away, why don't you introduce yourselves? Like, who are you and do you know each other?
Okay. You want to go, Diane?
Go ahead, Koreen.
Okay. All right. My name is Koreen Krise. I live in Pennsylvania in the United States. What I do is help people navigate their way through their finances. How I know Diane is because we are business partners. We work together a lot and we have a lot of fun. So we like to make finances fun for our clients too, with education and strategies.
Absolutely. And I'm Diane Noto. I live in Delaware in the United States. Just moved there about a year and a half ago. Basically, I'm married. I have one son who's fully grown, living on his own, and I was a former teacher, and then turned to working with finances. It's all about educating. I used to educate children. Now I educate adults, and sometimes there's not a whole lot of difference.
No.
Larger children.
Exactly. No, but it truly is. It's very important. I mean, we all look to learn. Why are we even on a podcast, right? I mean, we're sharing information, helping each other grow, and learn different topics, and of information that can help in our daily lives, and future lives. And Koreen and I met, actually, like you said, she said we're business partners. And, she actually has a sister who's also one of our business partners. So I met her first. And then as soon as I met Koreen, end of story, just they're on out,
Almost 15 years.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, and she still talks to me.
Yeah. Right.
I like that. I can appreciate good bit of friendly banter. So when you say like make learning about finance is fun, like that piques my interest. I like learning, I like having fun, but I don't find finances very fun. So how can you make learning about finances fun actually?
Just by education. It's really not as bad as it seems. Like especially in the United States, we were always taught it was taboo to talk about money. Nobody needs to know how much money you have or you don't have or how much debt. Well, that's just total crap. We need to start talking about that. We need to get more educated. And we know quite a few financial advisors that do that. Their goal is to educate people. Where we come in with the education is we are the bridge between the client and the financial advisor or the financial coach. And in that bridge, we help people learn where their money's at, and we educate them on the best use of it and how much they're being charged to borrow and all that other good stuff.
Absolutely. As you warned in the very beginning, Mads, you mentioned about if they have already taken out a loan, gone to a financial, facility to do that, or if they have not taken out a loan, they might want to list it up because it's all about interest. Banks are in business to make money. They're businesses, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. However, why should we have to pay a penny more as consumers than is absolutely necessary? And there are ways around that. And that's what we're here to do, to educate our clients and just people in general that there's a better way, that it's not necessary to have to pay forever and ever and ever, but it is interest, and it's a matter of understanding interest and how that works. And that's what we do.
Just quickly, I wanted to talk about what you mentioned about talking about finances is taboo, because it was the other day I was on a call with somebody, and we actually got onto that subject, and we both agreed it's actually in the Western world would be nearly more okay to cuss somebody out in public than start talking about finances. People will be like, "Well, ooh, what's happening?" Over here with Europeans cussing a lot, like hearing somebody cuss somebody out, you'd be like, "All right." But talking about finance, oh no, what's going on? Like, that'd be scary. Like how?
Yeah, that's so true. But that is so true.
I don't see where that kind of happened, because one of them is definitely more
I know.
okay than the other. And yeah, it's
Yeah, that is so true. Somebody would rather just dress you down than talk about finances. Yeah, and that. Yeah, welcome to America.
well, I think that's everywhere. Sadly, it feels like it's everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is. It's a very sensitive subject. It's not something like we talk about, when you go to work and during the day. You don't stand around in the office luncheon room or whatever and go, "Oh, I've got so much debt. Oh my goodness, I just bought a car and I owe $55,000. I mean, we don't do that. It's just not that kind of conversation. It's very hush hush, very quiet. So it can bring on quite a bit of stress, for people. And goodness, that could affect their health. They take days off of work, and God forbid, there are some that even will, steal, from each other. And that's, the worst. But that's when they're desperate, that would they don't know where money is going to come from, so it can cause an awful lot of stress. It really can. Being debt free is where you need to be. I mean, that's truly the answer. But most people are not in that position.
Well, that all goes back to the stigma of don't talk about money.
Mm-hmm.
Our parents were taught not to talk about money. Their parents were, and it's a generational thing, and it needs to end. Not that I'm saying that you should go out and say, "Hey, I just got a raise of $3 an hour. What do you think of that?" That's private. I get that, but it's also not horrible to say, "I'm making $50,000 a year." What is so bad about that? Why can't you talk about the money?
Yeah.
So we try to make people comfortable about talking about their finances, because it is hard. And if they have debt, there's a lot of emotions attached to that debt. It's very emotional. They have shame, they have guilt, and it's most of the time, it's not their fault. It's just how our system's set up. And that's another thing that we show them when we go through the process of helping them, that, it's not your fault.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like overweight people, he or she's eating too much. Not necessarily. There could be a health issue there that's causing that.
There's a lot of things.
You can't just put you just can't put a blanket on it and say that's it.
Right.
Like every situation is definitely unique, which is something we should keep in mind. So when it comes to debt, what kinds of debts are there? Different types?
Well,
sure.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to stop your question. Go ahead and finish your question, Mads.
Oh, it was just different types. I just wanted to add it for clarification that little bit.
Sure. There are different types, and they're set up differently. Credit cards are notorious. Student loans are awful with how some of them are set up. They're not all set up alike. There are different ones. And student loans in particular, they're a mystery. And we try to help them solve that mystery by getting the information and the details from them to show them how it's structured, how much they're going to end up paying if they follow the plan that their lender has for them. And we can always beat that.
Absolutely. And truthfully, in the United States itself, I mean, debt's big business. I mean, it amounts to, I believe it's over $20 trillion at this point, between car loans and student loans, mortgages. Oh my golly, that's over 16 trillion at the moment. But to each individual, that doesn't mean a whole lot. It's more of, what is it for me? How much debt do I have personally that's what they're most concerned about, and that's what we do is we customize an action plan for them. But so many debts are out. There's a lot of credit card debt that went crazy in your country too. How about during COVID? How did your country react, Mads, during COVID? A lot of people, for us.
Apparently, a government had locked away tax money they just could pay to everybody. I don't know how I feel about they locked away money. They said it was an accident. I don't really know about it, but it came in handy. Over here in COVID, it was actually good times, very good times for a lot of businesses, actually.
Oh, wow.
Besides, of course, the ones that got closed down, they didn't have a good time. They were definitely locked down. But like everything that went online were doing like amazingly delivery. So there was definitely a lot of money being pumped into the economy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ours too got a lot of pumped in, and yeah, it helped a lot. But there's people that still needed more help. You're a high income earner, and you suddenly don't have a job for 2 or 3 months. You can't fall back on what was it, $600 or $1,400 stimulus that the government gave out. That wouldn't even cover a mortgage. No. So that's when the credit card debt really racked up. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, we're still seeing the effects from it because they're still trying to pay that debt off. So that's another thing, getting back to not feeling bad about your debt because you're trying to survive. Now, if you have a credit card and your kids need food, you're going to use that credit card and feed those kids. Mm-hmm. It happened. It was a life event.
If that's your options, it's not two good options, but the one is definitely better than the other.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And those credit cards, I mean, the interest rates, we just ran an analysis for a client last week, 31.49%.
A what?
That's, yeah.
What?
31.49%. That is awful.
I think
that's the highest we've seen so far.
Yeah.
I think that kind of interest would be legal in this country, actually.
You would think.
I actually think over here it is illegal. It's like, nope, you can't do that. You're scamming people. Chill out. They can do like.
Well, we're a debt-full economy.
They can do like 25. I think that's around the max, plus minus 5. I'm pretty sure, but they can't. They're over 30. I've never heard about that in my life. Over here.
Yeah.
We've seen credit cards that are set up to have a 50-year payback on a credit card. And that's like the different loans. Oh, yeah, just because of how they're structured. Mm-hmm. Now, they did pass a law a couple of years ago that on the credit card statement, now they have to print, if you keep making the minimum payment, this is how long it's going to take you to pay off this debt.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's good.
Here's the caveat. Nobody looks at their statements.
That's a problem.
I know. I don't look. I pay. You go online, you pay your bill, you move on. You're not looking at the statement.
Right. And that's the bad part too, is people are, when they're paying their credit cards, we have so many times we have people that will say to us, I keep putting all this, I put extra money, an extra 50 or an extra 75, and it's just not coming down. Yeah. And the problem is that they don't realize in that case, chances are, that company could be just taking that extra money and applying it to the interest, because remember, they're in business to make money. Or it could just be the fact that you're not even that money, that little bit that you're paying, the part that's going to the principal is such a minimal amount that, it's really not making a difference. So you're continually getting charged more and more interest. Mm-hmm. So really not understanding how credit cards, for instance, are structured. That's the education that we try to help people with, make them understand what's really happening. Because it's very frustrating. They're sick and tired of paying all of this interest. And how can we get around that? And that's where we come in.
So that leads me
We've got the solution.
That leads me to another question. What is, in your eyes, the best way to pay up debt fast?
To pay it off fast?
Yes.
Okay, well, most people do what Diane just said, throw money at it. That's not going to help too much. There is a strategy, but just like the credit cards use a strategy to increase the interest and how much you're going to pay back, what we offer is a strategy to beat that. We offer that same strategy, but to the consumer's advantage and not the bank or the lender's advantage. So just throw in an extra 25 or 50 over the minimum, it's really not going to help you much. You got to know when to make that payment. And that's what we show people, exactly the day to make that payment. Make the minimum payment, and then we can show you when to make the extra payment that'll have the most impact on that interest.
And there are many strategies out there that I'm sure the community that listens to your podcast, then Mads, the people that you reach are probably aware of at least one or two of the ways. So there are ways that's something called debt snowball, where you basically pay off the smallest debt first, and then you pay the next debt and so forth. There's a debt avalanche, where it's basically you pay off the highest interest rate, that debt, and then you move to the next one that's the highest, and so on from there. Each one of those covers one debt at a time. It's not a bad thing. Some people may be familiar with Dave Ramsey. He was the debt snowball. So that it cuts off about 5 to 7 years of your debt payoff. That's something. That's fine. There's refinancing on your mortgage. There's debt consolidation, but each of those have some disadvantages as well. There's additional fees and things like that you need to pay. You can pay extra principal payments. Some people pay their mortgage like they divide it into 2 payments. So they'll pay every 2 weeks. And that basically adds up to about an extra payment by the end of the year. And again, about 5 to 7 years, you're cutting off your debt payment. Some people even want to cancel credit cards. Oh, cut that one up. I've heard that in my past from my parents, pay that one off and cut it up. Well, the bad thing about that is that can actually hurt your credit. That can last for a good 6 months to a year. That's not a good thing, always to cut that up. Doesn't mean you have to use it. But cutting it up is not necessarily always the right way. So each one of those ways, I'm sure your community has heard this. I've heard of different ways, and maybe even tried a couple of them. But is it doing the best that they can with their money? Is it truly making it most effective? Is it the most effective use of their money? So,
yeah, you're still paying back interest.
Yeah,
more than you need to. You're leaving money on the table that could be in your pocket.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So how don't we leave money at the table?
You need an algorithm, many algorithms. There are 720 different ways to pay off debts. So if you can do the algorithms, yeah, but that's what we have. We have a program that has algorithms that work for us and help us. You've seen the movie Hidden Figures. I don't know if you've ever seen that. About the women that helped. Oh yeah. Oh my God. You got to watch that movie. It's great.
Oh yes.
About the 3 women that basically put us into space. They came up with all the algorithms to figure everything else to launch us. It's an amazing movie. But in the movie, you'll see them on a ladder in front of this chalkboard writing numbers and stuff. Those were algorithms that they were creating. And it took hours and hours to do that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. Algorithms it's just math, Mads. That's what it is. Yeah, the algorithms, the exactly math
what it is.
It's just a system.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the banks have used that with our money forever, since day one, basically. And once they created it, I should say. But we're just taking the same exact system that they use to their benefit and turning it around to the benefit of our clients. But keeping more money in our pockets. So what we do is it's not a consolidation. We don't do a refinance with a mortgage. We don't restructure loans. We don't negotiate with credit card companies. That can affect your credit as well. It's not one strategy. That's what's cool about it. It's not one strategy. It's not one way of looking at things, but it's looking at their debt, their income, and also their monthly household expenses, like gas and light and electricity, that kind of thing. But looking at all of those together, all inclusive in real time. So no matter what happens and what changes in their lives, this active program is going to be able to tell them how much time and interest it's going to cost them and what path to take, what to pay when, which debt to pay first. Because how do you know? And you just take a chance. You think, oh, okay, let's take a dart and go like at a dartboard,
Yeah, I guess when you
play this one, I'll play that one.
Yeah, when you start accumulating a lot of different ones, I can definitely imagine it getting confusing. I don't think I ever had more than 2 loans at once. So at that point, it's you can. There's not. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's that much of a difference in when you have to like picking the one where you have the highest interest, then paying off as much as you can. Ain't that much calculation. I like algorithms; they're very helpful. But if I just have two numbers, I'll prefer to do it myself. I think it's gonna be faster.
Understandable, but I'll tell you what, the president of our division, it had to be a good 15 years ago. I'll say only, but he had a mortgage, and it was 10 years left that he needed to pay back on. Okay, he thought, okay, and that's all it is. I'll just add extra payments, whatever. He actually put that information into our system, into the program. It had him paying off in 4 years, not 10 years. And it wasn't just a lot of extra payments. It's also strategic. You see, it's when to put that extra payment in during the month on a particular debt. Yeah, knocked it from 10 years down to 4 years. Now, given that choice, Mads, would you choose to stay with the 10 years and do it, figure out yourself, or would you go with the 4 years?
I like to know how the fuck is there that much difference? There's only 31 days in a month. I last time I checked, my money didn't double on the 12th. I wish they did, but they didn't.
But that's 6 years of money back in his pocket that he would never have had if he had continued to do it on his own.
How can there be that much difference? I know you pay.
We're offering mathematical capabilities.
Yeah, I know every like loan company is gonna basically put interest right before the payment date, so you end up paying that much more in interest if you switch the date before.
Absolutely,
I know that part.
Yep.
I know the basics of it.
Yep.
So that part I get.
Especially mortgages.
Yeah, it's a big difference. I haven't had that big of a loan. So that hasn't. But yeah, I realized I was like, that's smart business, but I ain't gonna be a part of it.
But you know what? As life changes, that's the thing. As you know, when you get married, if you own a business, if you're buying things for your business and so forth, that's where those loans come in. That's where you need more credit cards. That's where there's all. And then look at it this way. You're always going to need another car. They haven't created a car yet that'll last 100 years. Let's say 50 years. I wish, so you're always going to.
That car, they did invent it. They just stopped making them. Bad business. there are a couple old golden European cars. Those cars don't go forever and they don't break. They apparently it's the same with interest payments. You engineer them in a way so you make the most money of them. Business.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
but
cold.
You're going to be buying a new house. You may be buying buying a boat. You could be, you're going to buy another car. That's okay. It's not anti-bank. We're definitely not anti-bank. But the point is why have to pay a penny more in interest? Because then when you need another car, who are you going to go back to? That bank. And that's okay. That keeps the world going. But only, keeping more of your money for you and your family, rather than, the bank doesn't need more. That's for sure. They won't go bankrupt. Definitely.
Yeah, I feel people should have the same approach to their loans as they do their taxes. Because I haven't met one person that they have, and I have it the same way. I won't pay $1 more to the government than I have to.
That's right.
That's right.
I don't care if it's $1 or not. I want it. And most people don't have that approach to interest. It's like I'll pay whatever it is, and don't even want to do the basics when it comes to paying less, because there are simple things that you can go out and do, like paying off on the day before they take your interest instead of the day after, like they normally do.
Right.
And then if you want to go to more advanced level. What is the program called, actually? We haven't said it that a single time.
The program that we have is called Debt Shredder.
Debt Shredder,
yeah,
okay.
It's Debt Shredder, like shred something. Yeah.
Yes, it makes sense with what it does. So if you want the more advanced level and you have more debt, then you should go with Debt Shredder, I think. but just do something about it
Yeah.
at least. Start.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. And that's something too, Mads, for you as well as for your community to know is whenever we talk with anybody, it's always a complimentary analysis for them to see how much time and interest we can save them. We never charge a dime because we want to see if it holds value. Is it going to work for them and get them to their goals? Get them to reach that. So it costs them nothing. They have nothing to lose to see, is this going to work for me? Could this get me out of trouble? But they don't have to be sick in debt. Like, oh my God, I'm so way down. We have people that say they're going to heaven and sending checks from heaven because they have so much debt. But they don't have to be that crazy. It could be 25,000. I'll use United States, dollar amounts, but $25,000 up to, I don't know. I don't think there is a limit, but the highest we've dealt with, I believe, is $2 million, basically. So yeah, I mean, it's not somebody in trouble, really. It's just a matter of they're sick and tired of paying all that interest to somebody else other than themselves. Bottom line, it's really what it is. Yeah.
I've seen, because there's a program over here in Denmark called Luxury Trap, I think would be the most correct translation for it. And it's basically people late 20s, early 30s that accumulated a couple $100,000 in debt, and they have to get out of it. And then you realize if you accumulate that much debt, how much of a problem it becomes. Because if you don't
especially
go ahead.
Yeah, middle-aged people in 50s and 60s looking to retire with that much debt. Yeah, that's not going to happen. They won't. They can't afford to have the debt and retire. So, yeah, we try to help them with that too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because everyone's different. I mean, even in yourself, you have your goals. What's your goals, Mads? What's something that you would love to have in your future?
Are we talking monetary rise, or which direction are you going?
That you need a loan for.
Something that you would need to go to the bank for, unless you're independently wealthy. That's awesome. Good for you. That's okay too.
I'm definitely not there yet. Yeah, I think if we talk more recent future and not too long into the future, I've been thinking about buying like a vacation place in Malta. Basically, I could live there once it's nice weather, meaning the winter in Malta. It's not holiday season there, and then when it becomes too hot for me, I'll just go back to Denmark. And when it's like basically the hot season, where you can charge the most rent, is where I don't want to be there because it's too warm.
There you go. Real estate, then. That's great. Yeah. That's what you're looking for, to buy buy a piece of property, right, where you can live your life in that certain time of the year. Right? Yeah.
And when it gets too hot, you can call your friends, Koreen and Diane, and we can rent it out for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's a couple of nice islands down there. I haven't decided if it's Cyprus or Malta. It's going to be one of them. It's a nice place in Europe, and they have a lot lower taxes than Denmark, so that's a nice thing as well. So it might change how long I spend there, depending on how long I have to stay there to be tax resident. Because then I can go back to Denmark and have to pay taxes to that, which is a lot lower. Which would be nice, not getting charged like 42%, and that's on the low end. I don't even make that much over here.
Wow.
Not 42. 46.
46.
Yes, 46.
Whoa,
not 42.
That's worse.
Yeah, 46%.
Oh.
And that's close to the minimum.
That's painful.
Well, you can't get deductions, but that's like the base rate, basically.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. We'll see that's makes the world go round, as they say. I mean, no matter what country, obviously, it sounds like, these companies are in business to make money, and you can't fault them for that. But We just need to be smart about it. That let's not pay them more than they absolutely need, so we can, keep control of our hard-earned money. I'm sure you work hard to earn your money. So did Koreen and I. That's for sure. So we want to keep more. So if we can do that for us and our clients, yay! It's a win-win.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
it's
we're on a mission. We want to empower people.
Mm-hmm.
there's no
Yep.
reason to pay people more than they have to. That's what I call bad
Right.
business. I personally don't like bad business. I don't know about the people listening to this, if they like it or not, but that's up to them. I can't answer that question. So if
Correct.
the people don't like bad business and want to reach out to you, where should they reach you? I'm going to make sure to have the links down below in the description as well, so it's nice and easy.
Okay, sounds good. Probably, we both have a LinkedIn page. I
Yeah.
think you have that information,
Yes,
Mads,
yes,
and
yes.
as well as you have our email addresses as well. They can reach out, on either one of those, those ways for sure. This way, obviously, if it's international, it could be there in Europe, it could be here. We can work with people here in the United States and in Canada at the moment. But that covers quite a big area, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, it's good to hear that you can help the Europeans over here as well, because we have a bunch of big banks that's been big banks for a lot of time, and I always believe you shouldn't trust a person that has a billion reasons to not tell you the truth.
That's for sure.
There you go. Right.
Very good advice.
No matter what kind of
Absolutely.
advice it is, if they have a billion reasons to not tell you the truth, don't trust them.
5 years ago, my business partner asked me, if we're so dang smart, how come we're not helping more people? And I said, well, the problem is we're helping people all over the world with various sorts of charity work, but we're not training businesses how to do better. So 5 years ago, we started this branch of the company to specifically help businesses do better and make more money. So then you can go out and do more good in the world. That's the reason you want to book this call, to find out if what we know and what your business needs intersect, and maybe we can help you. Book the call. Let's talk. It's 30 minutes. Let's find out.